are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have Brett Swarts with us to talk a little bit about deferring those taxes. It is tax season here. We're just coming on. Today is what, January 13th. So it's about time to start thinking about doing those taxes, a subject that, you know, it's one of those things you don't like, but you got to deal with. And the best thing you can do is defer those taxes so you can hold on to more money, put them into bigger deals. And that is what Brett is here to talk about. So Brett, thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Gabe, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I told you before we got on here, we like to start with stories. I know you got a good story. So why don't you take us to the beginning? How'd you get started in real estate?
Yeah, I started with my mom and dad building custom homes and room additions all through the Bay Area of California. That was in the 80s and 90s. I'm 39 now, so I was still pretty young in the 80s. We were, hammering nails, moving bobcats, driving bobcats, putting up drywall, and just seemed like entrepreneurial real estate family, cash flow, having rentals and stuff. That was really cool. So I learned the kind of the construction and the hard work standpoint at an early age, and then had a chance to fall in love with multifamily brokerage when I joined a company called Marcus & Millichap. And that's when I learned about 1031 exchanges and underwriting and IRRs and cash on cash returns and all the cool ways to build wealth and cash flowing multifamily real estate. And then fast forward, learned about a thing called a Deferred Sales Trust, but it was during a time when everything hit the fan in 2008 and people lost half or all of their wealth. And we said, there's got to be a better way than just, having to be forced to overpay for properties via 1031 exchange. At the time too, financially, it was really tough. My wife and I married, new baby at home. We basically went down to like zero. And we had to move in with him into a small condo. I had to take a side hustle at Cheesecake Factory. I had to do all this, stuff to keep the dream alive. So I make cold calls by day, be at Cheesecake Factory by night. And that began the journey of solving problems in a way that hopefully I never have to go back to the Cheesecake Factory ever again, right? And that's why I started my company as well now. And we just help coach and train people how to do tax deferral on multifamily exits, cryptocurrency, business exits, and then go back into real estate, which is my favorite part, when it makes sense for them, all tax deferred, not using a 1031.
Nice, man. I love it. And, as much as it pains me to hear stories like that, you never like going through things that are hard. But you come out the other side, you're stronger, and you can look back on it and say, hey, if I can get through that, then I can get through anything. And you are a shining testament to that from Cheesecake Factory. By the way, I love Cheesecake Factory, so glad you chose that
Best
one.
restaurant in America, man. I mean, come on, you're getting hammered in your calories, but you're gonna, this is gonna taste good on the way down there,
Exactly. So you made it. Yeah, you're from Cheesecake Factory, and now you're doing all this stuff, which is great. We're here to talk about the DST. So you kind of got there roundabout way through Marcus & Millichap doing multifamily brokerage. And it sounds like you saw that there was, all these gains that people were taking and they were taking the hit on them. So kind of let's set the stage and explain, like you would someone who's never sold a property, explain how taxes hit you when you sell any deal that you're doing right at the beginning.
Absolutely. And we're going to use a deal story to make it come alive. And this is Gary Lester. He's a client of mine. And so Gary was the guy who was working the W-2 as well, kind of had his side hustle business going, but he wanted to get passive real estate cash flow and build wealth through mobile home parks. And so he went to one of these conferences and seminars about 5-6 years ago. And then he started to buy mobile home parks in the Moscow, Idaho area, not too far from Washington, right? And he bought these mobile home parks and they rose to values of about $10 million, okay? So he found himself saying, oh my gosh, Brett, I feel like I'm financially free. I mean, I can live off my passive cash flow and it covers my expenses, but my time and my energy and my stress is like high. And even though I have property management, there's still just a lot to deal with these mobile home parks. And so Gary said, you know what, Brett, I'd like to exit, but I don't want to be trapped by a 1031 exchange. And what basically happens when you exit, depending on what state you're in, but it's about 25 to 50% of your gain is going to be wiped out by capital gains tax and depreciation recapture. So he's looking at his gain, millions of dollars of tax going to be due, or he's going, I have to 1031 and get higher interest rates and buy a property. He goes, I have 5 mobile home parks. Those are my 5 problems. I don't need 10, right? Yeah. I have $10 million, minus some debt. I don't need more millions, but I want more time. I desire more simplicity, and I desire more flexibility with how and when I might want to invest. And so enter our team. We map out an exit strategy for him, with him, and he's really, really happy. He's sending us referrals. He told his whole story on my YouTube channel. You can check that out, Capital Gains Taxers YouTube channel, and you can hear him tell it. And so number one is you want to define the problem. The problem is the tax liability, and we call this having a tax flow mindset. Okay. We all have these cash flow mindsets, and I love that. I'm a cash flow guy. I'm a real estate guy. But we've been taught so much about cash flow by everyone and everywhere. And yeah, okay, we got cash flow. Now let's focus on tax flow. Why? Well, taxes are high and they're getting higher. The debt in America is crazy. It's $31 trillion and rising. So what's the government doing? They're printing a lot of money and they're raising taxes. And so as an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor, as a businessman or woman that listen to this, you've got to change your mindset from not just cash flow, but to tax flow. And that's really what we're talking about here.
Nice, man. I love it. And so, I mean, there's a number of things that we could kind of pull out from that explanation there. First of all, you're talking about 1031s. Let's focus in on that, because that is the typical way that if somebody wants to defer taxes and they sell a property, they usually think of 1031s. So let's first define that. What is a 1031? And yeah, just tell everybody listening what a 1031 is.
Yeah. So if you first of all, if you qualify for a 1031, if you have an investment in real estate, if you have a primary home or a business or crypto or stock, you don't qualify for a 1031, but you do for the Deferred Sales Trust. For a 1031 though, it must be investment real estate. So let's say you bought a property for $1 million, you're selling it for $5 million, you've got a $4 million gain. You could trade or exchange or move all of that capital into another $5 million or a greater property. And if you have debt on that property, you need to move that debt into the next property or properties. And essentially, you are deferring your capital gains tax. So if you have an IRA or a 401k, you're deferring tax. Right. This is just tax deferral mechanisms that allow you to keep what you would have owned Uncle Sam, to grow and compound and build wealth. It's a great, amazing strategy. It also maintains what's called the stepped up basis. If you own everything for your life and you die, your kids can get a stepped up basis as the law stands today, which is an amazing way to build wealth, and doing it while being able to defer the tax. Yep. Okay. So that's the basic concept of the 1031.
Yeah. And I mean, as I said, it's probably the most popular way for people to defer taxes, to not have to pay their taxes when they sell a property. Because I mean, in that situation there, if you had a $4 million gain and you had to pay, 25% plus of that gain to the government, that is a kick in the teeth right there. That will hurt. So a great way to not have to do that and still, use that equity that you built in for bigger, better deals is to do the 1031. Now explain, how does the 1031 differ from the Deferred Sales Trust?
So all of the great things about the 1031, there's also some downsides. You have to identify something within 45 days, and you have to buy something within 180 days of you selling your down leg or the property that you sold, okay? And you have to put it into another property. But our parents taught us to sell high and buy low, Gabe. They didn't teach us to sell high and buy higher 180 days later. And too often people are on what's called the 1031 shotgun wedding. We've all been there, Gabe, or at least had our friends who married the people they shouldn't have married because they got married really fast, and really fast. You're like, whoa, that's moving quick. Well, that's like the shotgun 1031. And too often people get completely wiped out, and people are going to get wiped out in 2023, I believe, who had overpaid in 2022 and 2021 via the 1031 exchange because they felt they had no other alternative. And what wipes people out? Too much debt, not enough liquidity, and not buying on the intrinsic value of the property, not having a value add opportunity, the property already being maxed out in rents, right? And so I had a client in 2007, was at Marcus & Millichap. He owned $50 million of C-class properties. He was leveraged 70, 80%. We told him to get out. Now, at the time, we didn't know about the Deferred Sales Trust, but we just told him, you should get out of these properties that are a little bit questionable. You have a lot of debt. He goes, I'm trapped. He goes, because if I sell, I have to overpay for a property. I have to do the 1031 and I have to replace my debt. Fast forward, his entire house of cards fell. He had $50 million worth of real estate, beautiful $3 million house. He lost his house. He lost all of his real estate. He went bankrupt. And we're going, the 1031 exchange was not his friend. He had just been exchanging up until everything stopped. Now, do we think the '08 crisis is going to happen like that? No. And did most multifamilies during the '08 crisis, if you didn't over leverage, did you do fine? Yes, if you had a chance to hold on. But the concept of this is, had he known about the deferred sales trust, he would have sold high, paid off all of his debt, diversified the wealth into, you could put it into U.S. Treasury bills just to wait on the sidelines. You can put it into hard money lending. You can put it into passive real estate deals. You can put it into stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, but you can dollar cost average and you can take your time. So think of the deferred sales trust as like a place where it's a safe harbor for your capital. It's a place to relax and wait to see where opportunities are going to come up. It's a place to diversify and pay off debt. In other words, it's more of a preservation play at first, but then it becomes a chance to pounce when the iron's hot, right? When there's opportunities. And so we believe there's opportunities coming. So with the trust, you can partner with the trust to buy more property. You can partner with the trust to build property. We had a client, he sold a $2.6 million business in Alabama. And that particular deal, he deferred hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax. And then he was building 70 multifamily units in Tennessee. So it became his capital partner to invest with him, all tax deferred without having to raise capital, get it from a bank. The trust was able to be that silent joint venture partner for him. So that's a cool way to go fund yourself, all tax deferred. We did another deal out of San Diego, about a $12 million deal, almost 13, 4 partners that were exiting. The 1031 exchange doesn't allow all the partners typically to exit. They have to all stay together. Well, with the deferred sales trust, we can seamlessly separate the partners. Each can have their own trust and they can defer the tax. These guys are also developers. They bought this land. It was just a taco stand. If anyone's ever been to San Diego, they have a lot of taco stands. Really good taco stand. But it was just like in a kind of a rundown neighborhood. Yeah, kind of a rundown neighborhood. And they built this this car wash. If you're watching this on YouTube,
oh, it's a car wash. I thought that said Orange Theory. Okay,
yeah, car wash. And then they put the taco stand inside of the car wash while people get in the car. And so the guy's business tripled, right? So it was a deal for him. And then they built the car wash, and so $4 million all in, about a $12.7 million exit.
Wow,
huge tax. And they found us 21 days before they exited. They were like, we're not doing a 1031 because we're not in the business of buying $13 million pieces of land. We're in the business of buying land for $500,000. Building on it for $4 million, $3 million, $4 million, and then selling it for 13. And so just the simple business model for a 1031 exchange puts you in a weird position. With the deferred sales trust, you have like really total freedom and flexibility.
So the first thing that kind of pops into my mind is, what are the time limitations here? I mean, that is one of the things for the 1031 is you have those set number of days that you have to find a property, execute on it, all that stuff. If you put money into a DST, can you let it sit there for 10 years and then all tax deferred, and then in 10 years time decide you want to go buy 1,000 shares of Apple at $10 million and work it that way?
Good question. So there's no timing restrictions as it pertains to having to invest in like-kind property or identify properties or investments within a certain time frame. It's a completely different tax code. By the way, this is not to be confused with a Delaware Statutory Trust, which is another form of a DST, which is part of the 1031 tax code. This is IRC 453, which is part of an installment sale tax code. So there's nothing like that. However, once the funds are in the trust, the intent of the trust is to invest. Okay, so it does need to invest into something, but it could be U.S. Treasury bills.
Okay, so you do have to do it on when the money goes into the account. It does have to be invested somewhere.
Yeah, you can't sit for 10 years. Have I had clients sit there for months? Yeah, months. Yeah, okay. Months and months and months. Sure, we've had them do that in cash, but it's not a great plan because inflation and such. But the idea is to strike when the iron's hot, right? And to invest and to diversify and to grow the wealth of the trust to pay you back. And then as you get paid back, you pay tax on it. Gotcha.
And you said one word that I was actually going to ask about. You said like kind. That's another issue with 1031s. If I sold a mobile home park, I have to buy something equal or greater value there. So with a DST, can I sell a mobile home park and for $5 million and then buy $100,000 of stock or another property, or how does it work there?
Exactly. Yeah. So we can invest into anything. That's the cool part. So we're like Netflix versus Blockbuster. Blockbuster was really restrictive. We turned it within 3 days. Netflix came out, changed the game. So when the part of that is because when you invest via the trust, it can be real estate, but it can also be hard money lending. It can be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, U.S. Treasury bills. It could be insurance. It can be startup capital for your business venture, as long as it's business or investment. Whereas the 1031 exchange must be investment real estate and only works for investment real estate, whereas the Deferred Sales Trust works for investment real estate and businesses and crypto and public or private stock, right? And primary homes. We work for all asset classes. We're working on a $11.5 million plane sale.
Wow.
The guy has zero basis in the plane, a jet, and he's selling it for about 11.5 million. And he has a big, obviously a big tax. And so we can work for planes, it works for race horses, it works for NFTs, LPs, GPs, LLCs, S Corps, C Corps, really anything that's highly appreciated. Here's how you qualify though. You need to have $1 million net proceeds and $1 million gain per transaction.
Okay.
So it's got to be a large enough gain to qualify to use our service.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So that was actually going to be my last question. There's always a flip side to this. There's, if the 1031 exists, that means that there are benefits to using a 1031 over a DST. So in what situation would you choose a 1031 versus a DST?
When you find a deal that you would have bought regardless of your tax situation. So you find that $5 million multifamily property in Seattle that you would have bought regardless of your being in a 1031. The intrinsic value, the cash on cash, the value add opportunity, it just makes sense. You're like, oh, I bought it anyways. And you happen to be selling something and it fits into that deal, but you're not letting the tax tail wag the investment dog. You're not just buying the deal because you sold and you have tax. And you're like, I don't know if I should buy it. Yeah, the interest rate is 6. My cap rate is 4. Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense, but I'm going to just go ahead and 4 anyways. Or in California, yeah, there's a bunch of rent control and things are, rents are slowing down, but I'm just going to push through. And that's when people get in trouble. Or they're not diversified. They have so much wealth in they have so much wealth in real estate, or they have so much wealth in, like, let's say the stock market, they want to put more wealth in real estate. Then maybe you want to just stay all in real estate, right? To be kind of more diversified into real estate. You want to maintain the stepped up basis. So if the deal makes sense, do the deal. We're the first one to give you a high five. We do 1031 exchanges. We're experts in that. We help you with that. By the way, we can give you a backup plan in case your 1031 fails. If you contact us, you can work with our qualified intermediary strategic alliance that allows and knows and understands how to use a regular 1031, Delaware 1031, and the Deferred Sales Trust. So we can connect and work with that. So the last one would be a stepped up basis. Like if you have like a health concern, right, you might as well hold on for the stepped up basis, because then your kids can step up and they can sell and be capital gains tax free at that fair market value upon your death. So if there's any kind of health challenge there, those would be the main reasons. It's cheaper. It's typically like $1,000 or $1,500. Everyone knows it. There's like 5,000 QI companies across the country. So for us, there's a new trustee. You're like, that's our role, capital gains tax solutions. But we're kind of like a long-term 1031 company in a sense. There's ongoing fees, so you have to know about that. But also, we give you a new depreciation schedule. So if you partner with the trust, you can get a new depreciation schedule, get up to 80%. You obviously can dollar cost average. You can buy at optimal timing. We can also move your funds outside your taxable estate. So capital gains tax in a stepped up basis is only solved with a 1031 because you get a stepped up basis. Whereas in a deferred sales trust, you don't get a stepped up basis because you became a lender, but we can, in one of our structures, eliminate the estate tax. So we're working on a deal right now. This gentleman has at least $500 million of commercial real estate, mostly in California. And he's going, it's not about capital gains tax anymore. It's about estate tax. So he wants to move and eliminate the estate tax. And the 1031 can never do that. And it doesn't do that. So these are some advanced things that, depending on your circumstance, depending on your net worth, we can walk through.
Nice, man. Well, it definitely sounds like you guys are the ones to go to with those questions. When it comes to taxes, I'm no offense, but man, my eyes start to glaze over. It's just so much to take in, which is why you hire professionals to go out there and help you get those tax dollars back into your pocket. So, Brett, that does round out our time today. I'm going to have to push us into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's do it. starts with books. I'm a big bookie. So 2 recommendations, one for general life wisdom, one for real estate specific.
Okay. Never Split the Difference, and it's kind of both.
No, that's
So
good.
it's, but we can also do a real estate one too as well. My good friend Kevin Bupp just came out with the mobile home park investing book, which is a great book. So that's only for the real estate. But Never Split the Difference with Chris Voss is an incredible book. More than just a book, there's a master class. If you haven't heard of this master class thing, you can get it on your phone. It's an app, right? I'm going to pull it up right now for those that are wondering. And you can take Chris Voss's master class, and he
Oh yeah,
teaches the tactical ways to negotiate.
nice.
And when you think negotiation, you might be thinking just business, but it's actually family. It's actually human communications. And I've literally listened to this masterclass probably 25 times now in the past 5 months. It's
Wow.
so rich and so good and like so practical. Okay. So, I mean, I can read books and stuff, but I'm on the podcast, or I'm listening I'm at the gym or something, or I'm driving. This masterclass is gold. So Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference book, but really check out the masterclass.
Nice. That's awesome. And that is, I think it's masterclass.com, right? That's where those are.
Probably, yeah, yeah. But I think
Yeah.
it's like $170 for an annual subscription, but it's worth its weight in gold just for that one class. There's also one on for Steph Curry. I played basketball in college. He does a whole thing on like basketball and shooting and dribbling. That one's amazing too. So
All right. So masterclass.com. Well, I guess this is a little plug for that one right there. And then what's Kevin Buff's book again?
what is it called again? It's like mobile home park investing for for wealth or something like that.
Yeah.
But just Kevin Bupp mobile home park investing book.
Yeah. I'm sure you can just Google it. Kevin Bupp is one of the OGs in the mobile home park sphere. I know he's got quite a few pads out there. So I'm sure that's a good one. I'm going to move us on though. We're going to the next question, and this is for your younger self. So let's go back to the Brett who was just getting started, working with his dad out there in the field. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Yeah. So that point, I would be learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. My dad taught me how to work really hard on my job. And I would say my mom and coaches and leaders and my faith taught me to work harder on myself, right? So too often we tend to focus on getting those grades or getting that degree or getting that job or closing that deal. These are all external things that are important. However, what's more important is the internal work. So it's your health, your finances, your fitness, your faith, your family, right? Your personal development, your leadership. And so it's taking a look at how to increase my character by working harder on myself than I do on my job. And so that's what I would have done that's what I would say to my younger self. That's what I tell my kids too.
Yeah, that is a great advice. Definitely worth following. And that leads us to the next question. This one is lost my spot again. Every time this happens, where are we? All right. United States. It's a big place, a lot of opportunity out there, a lot of square miles. Give me one metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Yeah, St. Augustine, Florida, near the Jacksonville area. Very excited about the future of that location.
Man,
Those opportunities, the growth of that.
I feel like over the past year, probably 60 to 80% of the people that come on the podcast say somewhere in Florida. Florida has been just crushing it recently. A lot of good investment out there. So good recommendation. St. Augustine, though, I'm not sure we've heard of that specific metro yet. And that leads us to the next question. This is mentors. Mentors are, or none of us are islands. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. So who is one mentor who has contributed significantly to where you are today?
Oh, well, just one, huh? I would say the one that comes to mind the most is probably my older cousin. He helped me to really develop into commercial real estate expert, right? So from a young age, he worked for like a guy who was worth a couple $100 million. He had a bunch of properties, and we would go tour those properties. We do work on those properties. We would learn about how to kind of tenant properties from him. And then he was the one who helped bring me into Marcus & Millichap. And he does retail industrial office. He's an expert. He syndicates. And so I just always had a chance to glean wisdom and knowledge from him. And without him, my commercial real estate knowledge and expertise would be lower. Just he's been a major mentor for that, and other things too, just character and development. And he's like been a big older brother, which has been great.
Nice. Well, shout out to your older cousin. Thank you for helping Brett to get to where he is today. That leads us to the second to last question. This one is about tools. Tools form the backbone of every business. So, what is one tool you could not live without?
I like technology tool. Well, I would say not only do technology tool. I think that's too easy. Virtual assistants. Okay, so it's the team that moves the systems. We don't rise to the level of our goals or ambitions. We fall to the level of our systems, and processes, and procedures. And more than that, the people of which are running those systems, processes, and procedures. And more than that, the people that are building those systems, processes, and procedures. Okay. So if you're an entrepreneur or you're a person going solo, you're going to be capped with your time and your energy and your stress. And you don't have a team. Virtual assistants, to me, is the number one thing that honestly holds people back. Because we go to these conferences, we listen to these podcasts, we do these things, and then our time and our energy and our habits consume us. But if we can't delegate and hire, so I have 5 full-time team members now, okay? And then we're having 3 additional outside cold callers now, right? Now it started with just 1, but we're practice the system of designing and delegating rather than deciding and doing, right? So we really want to be, as entrepreneurs, in the designing and delegating, and we want to empower and encourage and train for our team members to do the deciding and the doing of the work, okay? There's a great, I guess one tool you could do to try to master that is a group called, what are they called? Run Like Clockwork, okay? Look up Run Like Clockwork. They've got books, they've got trainings, and they're phenomenal with helping you to actually start to implement that. But here's what I encourage you to do. Before you even take that training, just go hire a full-time virtual assistant right now, 40 hours a week, okay? And have them sit on your shoulder and watch everything you do as you're doing it on Zoom, right? As a screen share in every single one of your meetings. And just slowly, even if it's just 1% every couple of weeks that you can push off of your plate and they can start to do, that's how you're going to free up and actually grow your business. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how many tools you have. If you don't have the people, I would be lost. I don't know what I probably wouldn't even have a chance to be on this podcast right now. I'd be so inundated with work.
Yep, man, that is great advice. And it's funny it came in the tool section, but it's a gem. I actually have never heard of that dichotomy: design and delegate versus decide and do. I think it's really appropriate and a very good use of any entrepreneur's time is focus on those things that need to be designed and then focus on the people that you will delegate the process to. So, and also I really love that you focus on VAs because it's amazing once you hire that first VA, you're like, why didn't I do that sooner? I should have done that sooner. So great advice. Thank you very much. And that leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. So what is the best way for someone to reach out, get in contact with you, and what can they expect when they talk with you?
So capitalgainstaxsolutions.com or Capital Gains Tax Solutions on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. You can check out the new book coming out called Building a Tax Deferred Exit Strategy. And Kevin Henry from Shark Tank is in the book. Other multifamily syndicators as financial advisors. It's a great book. I got a couple chapters too. And it's all about helping you to unlock your ideal wealth plan for yourself or your clients on exiting any highly appreciated asset. So check that out, Building a Tax Deferred Exit Strategy on Amazon. Other than that, they can just book a one-on-one consultation with myself or one of my team members by going to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can download our free ebook there as well. You need to have $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain to qualify. You can apply there. And we do our masterclass every Friday, DST masterclass, where we're talking. That's totally free. You can join us there. Free for now. We might actually have it paid at some point as we're getting pretty popular. Then we have our coaching program that's going to be releasing soon as well, called experttaxsecrets.com. So that'll be releasing for professionals who are listening to this and want a chance to level up how they're helping their clients or investors exit.
Perfect. So that is Capital Gains Tax Solutions, plural with an S.com. I'll put that in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out to Brett, just click a little more in the description. It'll pull down the full description, and in there you can find Brett's URL. Right on, Brett. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thanks, Gabe, for having me.
Absolutely. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. And if you guys want to support the show, the best way to do it is just to go out there and give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz on whatever platform you're using. Other than that, hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on, and we're able to pull some actionable advice that you can apply in your own investing today in the field. Before you go, we have a gift for you. If you're a new investor looking to get started or an established investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you, available on our website. This ebook will cover how I was able to create both active and passive income in real estate with very little money to start with. In it, I will address the 3 most often cited obstacles new and veteran investors run into by showing you how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance a deal with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. And if you get the ebook today, I am throwing in a bundle of bonuses, 7 of them to be exact. The first one will be the off-market lead generation blueprint, which will take you through the exact systems and processes we use to generate off-market leads like clockwork, which is the most important skill when it comes to creating wealth in real estate. The second bonus is the A to Z REI systems and vendors guide, which will allow you to peek under the hood of our business and see the exact tools, systems, and even the vendors we use to see the success that we do. And the third bonus is the top 100 best performing keywords pack, which will give you the exact keywords we use to target motivated sellers online using PPC ads. The fourth bonus is our contracts bundle for wholesaling and renting real estate, which will give you access to all the contracts we use in the field to execute all different types of transactions. After that is the Investors Quick Analysis Calculator and Offer Tool, which will allow you to quickly calculate whether a deal is an actual deal and will allow you to create an offer automatically from those calculations. This is a lot of bonuses that I said. I'm just going to keep going down the list. Number 6 is the Investors Daily Success Tracker, which is a tracker you can use to ensure you are taking the right actions day in and day out to reach your financial goals in real estate. And the last bonus is the Wholesalers Template for Quick Assignment Cash, which will give you the templates we use to present our wholesale deals professionally and efficiently to our buyers. Whew, that is a bundle. So it's a mouthful. You get all of those bonuses for free when you download the ebook. All we charge is the admin cost to run the show. So if you're interested in the ebook and the bonus bundle, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Click on Get the Ebook Bundle at the top of the page to take advantage of that deal. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day, an even better week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.